This isn't a magazine. It's a glitter-soaked, eye-ripping opera of arrogance and hair clippings, a flexing, smirking love letter to the most sadistic stylist in wrestling history. WWF Spotlight Vol. 3 doesn't merely profile Brutus the Barber Beefcake, it worships him. It doesn't recap his career, it immortalizes it in neon ink and backstage myth. Open the cover and you're not flipping pages, you're falling into a whirlwind of tights, teeth, and trauma, where every corner turn brings more blood, more bravado, and more bizarre glimpses into the psyche of a man who believed humbling his opponents meant taking their pride and their sideburns. The opening volley is a praise-laden note from the publisher who calls Brutus one of the most interesting personalities in the ring, which is wrestling code for, "This man is not right and we love him for it." They hail his power, they revere his technique, but more than anything, they romanticize his descent into hair-cutting vengeance like he's Samson in reverse, stripping his enemies of strength with a snip of the scissors and a wink to the crowd. You learn quickly, Brutus didn't just wrestle, he administered justice. The magazine charts his rise through tag team fame to solo notoriety, a transformation forged in the fires of betrayal, chaos, and pompadours. It crescendos with his feud against the Honky Tonk Man, who went from cocky to concussed thanks to a sleeper hold and a set of shears. Honky's hair didn't stand a chance. His manager, Jimmy Hart, got clipped too, screeching as locks flew, his mouth of the South persona shrieking in horror while his mullet lay twitching on the mat. Their revenge came fast, WrestleMania, where Hart showed up dressed in drag as Peggy Sue in poodle socks and a blonde wig, wielding distraction like a foreign object. Honky bashed Brutus with a guitar, a Pearl Harbor job worthy of wrestling infamy, but the barber wasn't broken. "Now I can take care of both these creeps," he growled, and you knew scissors would soon sing. Then the magazine drags you into the nightmare known as Ron Bass, a cowboy whose only crime was pride and whose punishment was brutal. Brutus snipped his hat, he shredded his bullwhip, Miss Betsy, and in return, Bass jumped him with spurs, actual jagged cowboy boot spurs. It's not just a feud, it's a Western revenge epic played out in tights and blood. Brutus was left bleeding, humiliated, scarred, but plotting. And when the time came, the sleeper went in, the crowd erupted, and the scissors rose. Bass awoke in a sea of his own hair, surrounded by fans cheering his emasculation like it was the 4th of July. The barber didn't even flinch. This wasn't a match, it was a scalp offering. But then, just when you think you've seen it all, the magazine pivots into deep lore. Brutus wasn't just a hair-hungry lunatic. No, he had a mentor, a legitimate, undisputed master of the shears. His name? Salvatore Fadora. Yes, really. A barber so respected, so powerful, that training under him turned Beefcake from street-level stylist to tonsorial executioner. Brutus speaks of him with reverence, recalling how Fadora taught him to assess a man's skull like an artist studies a canvas. This is where the magazine gets philosophical. Each haircut is unique, Brutus says. The shape of the skull matters, the thickness of the hair, the level of humiliation required. He custom-tailored disgrace. He gave each man a new identity, loser. And it doesn't stop there. We get an entire spread on the sleeper hold, that brutal lullaby of the canvas that Brutus turned into a finishing move and a canvas for his art. The text drips with tension. Your limbs numb, your vision fades, your breath slows. Then boom, lights out, and the next thing you know, your head's lighter and the crowd is roaring. The magazine even quotes Jesse the Body Ventura, who calls it just a chokehold, and blasts Brutus for getting away with murder because of his friendship with WWF President Jack Tunney. But the visuals tell a different story. Rusty Riddle going limp, opponents sagging under Brutus's arm, a trail of unconscious egos left for the scissors to finish. In a twist only the 80s could deliver, the magazine detours into Hulk Hogan merchandise mania. Painter's caps, foam mugs, switchplate covers, terry bibs for babies, and washcloth puppets that let you bathe with the Hulkster. But Brutus? He's never far. His face shows up on back covers. His shadow looms behind every smiling little Hulkster. Because even in the merch machine of Hulkamania, the barber's presence can't be shaved away. The final stretch of the magazine is pure adrenaline. Brutus talks about the way fans react, how a good haircut can humiliate more than a loss, how snipping hair is symbolic, spiritual, and savage. I wanted my mentor to be proud, he says, but more than that, I wanted the fans to cheer when the hair hit the mat. This wasn't about style, this was about message. Every trim was a warning. Every buzz of the clippers was a shot across the bow of ego. You don't just lose a match to Brutus, you leave changed, lighter, shamed, exposed. And by the final page, it's all clear. This isn't a wrestler profile, it's a shrine. A full-color gospel of struts, cuts, and sleeper holds. A cosmic reminder that once upon a time, in a federation fueled by madness, one man made cutting hair the most feared move in the game. And if you dared enter the ring with him, your fate was sealed, not with a pinfall, not with a submission, but with a mirror, a laugh, and the sound of steel shears closing in.